Two hospital employees, both 65, retiring with $1 million in their retirement account. They're planning to spend $70,000 a year, that's 7%, to finally enjoy the retirement they spent decades building toward. Today, I'll walk through the research behind both of those positions, walk through a hypothetical example, and talk about one behavior that, in this illustration, appears to significantly separate the two outcomes. Same starting balance, same withdrawal rate, two very different outcomes. I'm Mike Worthington, a partner and financial advisor at Stonebridge Financial Group. We work with hospital and health system employees to coordinate pension income, Social Security, and retirement savings into an all-inclusive financial plan. As a financial advisor, I often hear, "How much can I withdraw from my accounts in retirement?" You've probably heard people say you can safely spend 7 or even 8% of your savings every year in retirement, while others say 4% is the only safe number. So where do these numbers come from? Back in 1994, a financial planner named Bill Bengen studied historical 30-year retirement periods, including some of the more difficult markets in modern history. His research suggested that a withdrawal rate near 4%, adjusted for inflation each year, held up across most of the periods he examined. In a 2025 book, he raised his original suggested starting figure to approximately 4.7% based on a more diversified portfolio assumption. So if even the original research points toward a potentially higher number for some retirees, where does 7 or 8% come from, and why can it carry more risk? The case for a higher withdrawal rate usually goes something like this. The stock market has historically averaged somewhere in the range of 10 to 12% a year. Of course, markets don't deliver that average return every single year, and future returns are never guaranteed. Research suggests that the order in which returns arrive, not just the long-term average, can matter a great deal to how long savings last. This is often referred to as sequence of returns risk. Here's a simplified way to think about it. Picture retiring with $500,000 and the market declines 30% in year one. That account is now worth roughly $350,000. If a retiree still withdraws $40,000, that withdrawal now represents a much larger share. Shares may need to be sold at reduced values, and there are fewer shares left to participate in a later recovery. A difficult start to retirement can affect a portfolio in a way that the same average returns, arriving in a different order, may not. This is one reason a fixed, unchanging 7% withdrawal, regardless of market conditions, is a strategy some advisors and researchers view with caution. It assumes calm markets, particularly in the early years, which historically has not always been the case. So is the alternative simply withdrawing a very low percentage and hoping for the best? Not necessarily. Let's look at a hypothetical illustration. Gary and Susan are both 65 and recently retired after long careers at their local hospital system. Each has accumulated $1 million in their 403(b), along with a modest hospital pension and Social Security benefits. They plan to withdraw $70,000 a year, in addition to pension and Social Security income. Gary continues withdrawing his full $70,000, inflation adjusted. Over time, his 403(b) balance declines quickly, and by his late 70s, the account is substantially depleted. Susan takes a different approach. She skips that year's inflation adjustment and reduces discretionary spending until her account recovers. Once markets stabilize, she resumes her original plan. Her account remains intact for a longer period. What Susan's approach reflects is sometimes described as a dynamic withdrawal strategy. Morningstar's research on retirement income has found that retirees using flexible, guardrail-style approaches could consider starting figures as high as approximately 5.7%. The second part involves setting upper and lower guardrails. If a portfolio grows, some retirees choose to increase spending. If a downturn pushes it above a threshold, some choose to trim spending, often by skipping an inflation adjustment. The third part involves maintaining a cash or short-term bond reserve intended to help reduce the need to sell long-term investments during a downturn. This helps address the sequence of returns risk we discussed earlier. For hospital and health system employees specifically, this conversation looks different because pension income and Social Security frequently cover a meaningful share of essential expenses. 403b balances may be primarily supporting lifestyle spending. So, can a retiree spend 7%? As a fixed rate, research suggests meaningfully more risk. As a flexible target, with a cash reserve and other income sources covering essential expenses, some advisors view a higher withdrawal rate as a more measured possibility. A few questions worth asking yourself. Do you have pension or Social Security income covering essential expenses? Do you have a cash reserve? Are you comfortable adjusting your spending? Your answers point toward your best approach. If this was helpful, consider subscribing and let us know in the comments what withdrawal approach you're considering. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.